Hello, my name is Jimmy Smith and welcome to another Grape Varieties. This one is on Semillon. This is our intermediate version. So this is ideal for those of you that are currently studying your WSET level 2 or equivalent. If you require more information about the Semillon variety, further information about its history, viticulture, vinification, etymology, synonyms, and all associated flavors and where we find it in the world, the geography, then please look at our advanced version, which is ideal for WSET level 3, level 4, and above. But this is our intermediate version, so it's our shorter version looking at the grape variety Semillon. So as mentioned, my name is Jimmy Smith. My Twitter and Instagram handle is @winewithjimmy. Please do get in touch with any comments or questions. I own 2 wine schools in London, in the United Kingdom. That is West London Wine School, which is one of the largest education facilities in the United Kingdom, the award-winning for WSET award in 2018. And also then the South London Wine School based in Greenwich and Streatham in South London. Plus I have a really wonderful wine bar that I absolutely adore, which is called Streatham Winehouse. Lots of brilliant wines, over 350 wines on the list. So that's down in Streatham in South London. So when you're next in London, please come and see us for a class or for a glass. So let's look at the Semillon variety. So Semillon, this is for your sort of basic knowledge for WSET level 2. It is a white variety that grows in moderate or warm climates, quite classically areas like Bordeaux, parts of South Africa, and parts of Australia. Here we go. It makes a variety of styles of wines. As mentioned in the level 2 text, it can make quite fresh young wines. So there are wines that are certainly made in places like the Hunter Valley in Australia, where it is picked early, made in stainless steel vats with quite low alcohols and majorly made to be consumed quite young. So quite simple, fresh, with things like green fruit, citrus fruits, and even herbaceous notes. Actually, so much so, Semillon is very much genetically close to Sauvignon Blanc. And if it is underripe Semillon or picked quite early, it actually has a lot of those herbaceous notes, the grassy characteristics that you find with Sauvignon Blanc. Dependent on its ripeness level, it can be medium to high in acidity. So often picked early with lower alcohols, has a really high acidity behind them. And with slightly riper styles, the acidities are much softer. And that's normally for your kind of sweeter productions that go through botrytis, certainly in areas like Sauternes in Bordeaux. And of course, it has a range of bodies behind it. So I've already mentioned the kind of easygoing style from Hunter Valley in Australia. In the same area, there are actually very powerful wines made in a similar way, but from much older vines. And then also sweet wines, of course, produce fuller bodied styles. There are dry wines where the grape is blended with Sauvignon Blanc in Bordeaux, which are also quite powerful and quite full bodied as well. So quite a variety. Now they can age. We've mentioned this as well. So Hunter Valley top end Semillon can age very well, displaying tertiary notes like almond, like toast, and they become quite waxy and quite rounded and full with that age. A little bit like how Riesling ages, where it goes from primary to tertiary and skips out secondary. It's exactly the same as the Semillons of parts of Australia. And also the oaked dry blended styles in France, and of course also the sweet wines of Sauternes. So yes, used in generic Bordeaux wines, Bordeaux Appellation Origine Contrôlée for both dry and sweet examples. Most famously, I would say it is for sweet wines in Sauternes, but we're not looking at that yet. This is for generic Bordeaux. In generic Bordeaux, it is used and blended into Sauvignon Blanc to add texture, weight, body, and to give a little bit more oomph in the round mouthfeel of a blended white of Bordeaux. And used in Sauternes AOC, which is in Bordeaux. It's a village south of Bordeaux city for sweet wines via the Varieties method, which forms noble rot, which dries out the grapes, concentrating sugars and acids and making, of course, sweet wines. And used in Australia, like I mentioned, for dry too sweet. There are Varietised Semillons in Australia, but we've already mentioned a couple of times in Hunter Valley styles, but also in Barossa, where it can make a variety styles, often more fuller in complexities. So where do we find it? These are the only two places they require you to know for the WSET level 2. So in Bordeaux, AOC, which is that whole region there in that map pretty much, so encompassing a big area, and quite famously, specifically the village of Sauternes, near Langon, on the Garonne River, where it makes, of course, sweet wines. And in Australia, like we mentioned, in Hunter Valley on the eastern side, and Barossa, part of South Australia. So they're our key zones for it. So what is it like? Now, this is quite a complex pictograph here, a picture of all the different flavors, because it is quite diverse from dry to sweet. As it says at the bottom, dry to sweet, moderate acidity, but they can be high. So let's first of all look at some of these things here. So you have top left hand of the picture there. Let me get my pointer. You have petrol. You've also got honey here in the top right. You've also got almonds or nuts. And these are actually three things that tend to be developed with dry semillons as normally single varietals from places like Hunter and Barossa. So it's quite common. Oak can be found in some instances, but that tends to be in most Bordeaux and Sauternes wines. So that is from France, of course. The things like lemon here, a pear as well, a little bit of pineapple in the background, and also the grassiness, that tends to be in younger, fresher semillons. There is that, there's a sheep here, and that's the kind of lanolin, woolly sort of character and whetstone sort of note that you can find often on semillons. Semillons, when they do age, and if they go through botrytis, often gain a glycerol feel to them around a characteristic, which you may find. Okay, so that is our intermediate look at the grape variety Semillon. Once again, if you require much more information around the variety, we do have an over 20-minute version of Semillon, which is our advanced version. Please check that out if you want a little bit more information. So I've been Jimmy Smith of West London Wine School, South London Wine School, and Streatham Winehouse. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you've learned something, and we'll see you again very soon.